Verstappen won a chaotic, rain-shortened Japanese Grand Prix to seal his second F1 World Championship amid huge confusion. After a race where only 29 of the 53 scheduled laps were completed due to heavy rain at Suzuka, Verstappen was crowned champion after a 5-second penalty after Charles Leclerc dropped him to second behind Sergio Perez. The first one is a little more emotional one. The second is beautiful, said Verstappen, who won clear from Leclerc and Perez's battles to win by over 20 seconds despite the tricky conditions and lack of laps. That was worthy of a world championship, said Jenson Button of his drive. There was previously uncertainty over whether full or partial points would be awarded for this race, as most believed only 19 points would be awarded due to less than 75% of the laps being completed. But for the Japanese Grand Prix, there was a different interpretation of the rules, which stated that the reduced points can only be applied if the race is suspended or cannot be resumed. Verstappen was clearly confused by the situation. Celebrations began and were then paused, but it was eventually confirmed that full points had been awarded, sealing a 25-year-old's chance with 4 races of the season remaining. The Dutchman would have been denied the second title if Leclerc had came second, but the Ferrari driver's last lap error saw him given a 5-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining advantage. That demoted him to third behind the other Red Buller Sergio Perez. The race had earlier been threatened to be overshadowed by controversy as an initial attempt to start in heavy rain resulted in chaos, with Carlos Sainz crashing into a barrier before a recovery tractor came on track with the car's southern circuit. The race was red flagged with a 2-hour plus delay ensued as rain continued to fall, with the chances of resumption appearing bleak at points. However, to the delight of the Japanese faithful who've waited 3 years for F1 to return to Suzuka, the skies cleared and we got a rolling start behind the safety car with about 45 minutes left on the 3 o'clock that began ticking from the initial start. The drying track saw the field switch from wet to intermediates, but Verstappen was comfortable throughout as he pulled clear by 27 seconds to win. Ocon produced a brilliant defensive drive to hold off Hamilton for 4th, while Vettel and Latifi benefited from first class to pit the restart, finishing 6th and 9th respectively. But on to the world champion then, and Verstappen's 12th victory in 18 races this season and his 6th in the last 7 took into an unassailable 113 points clearing the world championship. After coming through the most intense battles with Hamilton last year, Verstappen has been in a league of his own in 22. While Red Bull has provided Verstappen with a supremely fast car capable of adapting to sport's variety of circuits, the Dutchman has driven near faultlessly. Sunday's race at Suzuka was just the 4th time this season Verstappen has won from pole, with his improved race cars enabling him to win from further back on 9 occasions. While for a second year in a row, Verstappen crowning moment came amid great confusion. Unlike in 2021, there was no question as to whether the right driver and team had triumphed. It was a crazy feeling, of course, because I didn't expect it when I crossed the line, said Verstappen. Of course you could see it's happening, but it's incredible at the end of the day that we did win it here. For a long time it looked as though Verstappen's wait to seal the title would continue after a chaotic start to the race. Looked as though it may only be the only on-track action of the day. While rain falling, the race directors opted to go ahead with a standing start, which Verstappen only just held off Leclerc in the first corner after a poor start. There was immediately heavy spray, severely reducing visibility, causing several incidents in the opening stages. Sebastian Vettel went off track after making contact with Fernando Alonso. Alex Albon also sustained damage as a result of his retirement, but most notably, Carlos Sainz aquaplaned into a barrier before bouncing back on track. The Ferrari was left stricken. It's a minor miracle that the field managed to avoid him as they followed through before the safety car was sent out. With conditions worsening as the race got heavier, with Sainz's car remaining in a dangerous position, a red flag followed, bringing cars into pits. However, replays would then emerge showing that both a recovery vehicle and marshals had been allowed on track while cars were still out there. The incident invoked memories of Japan 2014 when driver Jorge Bianchi, of course, died in a collision with a recovery vehicle. Pierre Gasly, who was training the field following his pit lane start, had not yet caught up with the train behind the safety car, reacted furiously at the presence of the recovery vehicle on track as he narrowly avoided it. What is the tractor on track? Gasly said on team radio, a pass next to it. This is unacceptable. Remember what happened? Can't believe this. We don't want to ever see a crane on track again. Angie, you have to echo his words, really. There were double wave yellows after a red flag when Gasly passed the vehicle, and the FIA said Gasly was at fault for driving too fast in these conditions, and the Frenchman was handed a 20-second time penalty after the race, which demoted into 18th, last of those who saw the flag. The safety car had been deployed and the race neutralised, and the FIA said car 10, however, which collected damage had pitted behind the safety car, was driving at high speed to catch up. As conditions were deteriorating, the red flag was shown before car 10 was past the location of the incident as it had been on the previous lap. However, the majority of the drivers were united in anger, with the likes of McLaren's Lando Norris and Sergio Perez taking to Twitter to express their grievances during the red flag period. And before I go, let me run you through the final classification. Max Verstappen, of course, coming out on top. What can you say about that? Totally faultless drive, and what a drive it was to win the World Championship. Shame about all the confusion, but yeah, great drive from him. Perez in second. Fair play to him. He did a really, really good job to put Leclerc under pressure. In the end, he made a mistake. Leclerc will be frustrated, not to take the title into the next round, but it wouldn't really matter. But still, to make that error will be frustrating. Then you've got Ocon in fourth. Really brilliant drive from him today. Fourth in the Alpine, probably didn't have speed, but he defended brilliantly. Hamilton be frustrated, but best amount driver today, really. And just didn't have the pace to get past Ocon in the straight line. And then you've got Vettel sixth, brilliant strategy and a brilliant weekend from him in qualifying. Just a shame for that spin at the start. But then you've got Alonso in seventh. Bit of a real weekend for Ocon, Alonso, sorry. He always looked like he'd be faster than Ocon until the last run of Q3. So I think he'll be disappointed, but still solid points for Alpine to take them above McLaren again. Russell in 8th, disappointing weekend for him, you'd have to say. Second Merc driver again. I don't know, it seems like it's becoming a bit of a thing. I think Hamilton's not qualified in every race since the summer break. Russell, I don't know, maybe he's just tailing off a bit. And then you've got Latifi in 9th. Kind of like Vettel, brilliant job on the strategy from him. First points at last for him, please for him, I have to say. Norris in 10th, Ricciardo in 11th. Just disappointing with McLaren. Ricciardo couldn't quite execute that last run in Q2, but he had solid pace. And McLaren just didn't utilise it really. Kind of a similar story for Norris. Then you've got Lance Stroll in 12th. A bit disappointing compared to where Sell is, but it will be hard to score points in that tractor, really, won't it? Tsunoda in 13th. I actually thought he was really good this weekend. He didn't quite get his reward. Then we've got Magnussen in 14th. Probably a disappointing weekend for Magnussen and Haas with Schumacher in 20th. Obviously, they took that gamble, and in the end, it didn't pay off. But Haas just really tailing off at the moment, aren't they? To be honest, Bottas in 15th, Zhou in 16th. Kind of a similar story for the Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin, really breathing down their throat now. Gasly in 17th, kind of already touched on his race. Just incredibly frustrating, but thankfully he's okay. And then you've got Sainz and Albon retiring in the opening lap. Albon amongst all the chaos with a technical failure, and Sainz aquaplaning, because that'd be really frustrating, because you would have thought he would have been asked to get on the podium there, to be honest. Anyway guys, that's that video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, don't forget to comment down below, and follow us for daily football F1 news, and subscribe to my channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace!